Hey folks, Mad Black 80, Black Up in Your Face again with some more pro-black commentary. To borrow a popular quote from Jason Black, you can't trust these old niggas. And to rephrase for myself, there's a big difference between someone being an elder and someone just being older. A lot of times you have a lot of older black people who just automatically want your respect, but a lot of them are just old. They're not an elder. An elder, that means that you are someone who is in the standing of wisdom. That means you are someone in the standing that's able to pass down lessons and give advice, good advice, I should say, not just any old advice, but actually give good advice to the generation coming after you because you want them to succeed. You realize maybe the successes that you've had or even the mistakes that you've made in your life, and you want to try to course correct the next generation so that they can thrive. You don't want to use the younger generation as a scapegoat. You don't want to use the younger generation as uh, an experiment. You don't want to just push them down the wrong road, and you definitely don't want to just leave them hanging knowing the dangers that you face. You don't want them to have to go through the same thing. That being said, there's a bunch of these old nakers. I'm going to use that word just to be funny, but there's a bunch of these old nakers who are out here advocating that the next new black generation take these C-19 vaccines. And, it's, you can, let me just say this, you can make whatever decision that you want to make. Okay, I'm not going to be here forcing you and telling you what you should and what you shouldn't do. However, I would advise that you be cautious. I'm going to do something that your elders are not doing right now, and that is advising you to be cautious, advising you to understand and think about what you've learned from your real history, your immediate history, and use that to make an informed decision about what you do right now. And anyone with any logical sense in the black community would have to really make the judgment call that what these people are pushing on us now is not for our benefit. When have they ever done anything for our benefit? Just think about that. You don't let's think about this first. Don't even think about uh, this is good, this is the ingredients, this is what's going into it, this is what's going on now. Think about when have they ever done anything that was solely for your benefit, that was going to actually benefit you and do good for you? When have they ever done that? And I'm talking about in the medical field. When have they ever tried to help you in that regard? If anything, the only thing they've ever done to black people here in America when it comes to the medical field is to try to destroy us. At the nicest, you can say that they use us as guinea pigs before they tested out something on other folks. But for the most part, it's always been very disastrous when they deal with us. And it's so that's how I feel about this. But you have some of these old nakers who don't agree with me and who are actually encouraging a lot of young black people to take these vaccines. And what's very interesting is they've actually dug up some old nakers from the Tuskegee experiment, or whose family members who have actually went through the Tuskegee experiment, or who were living in that area and know people who were involved in the Tuskegee experiment, who are now coming out and telling black people you need to take these new vaccines. They said they know that black people might be apprehensive about these things, and that the past of what happened during the Tuskegee experiment, where they uh, pretended that they were going to treat black people for syphilis, specifically black males, where they pretended that they were going to do that and just allowed them to get sicker and worse and let them die. And, you know, you have people who lived in and around that and whose family members were victims of that, who are now coming out to say, you need to take these new vaccines. We know it was bad back then, black folks, but just trust the science now. Just trust the science now. And here's the problem I have with that term, trust the science, is you're not really trusting any type of science that is what science is supposed to be. You're just trusting what other people say. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's science usually has to deal with people making a hypothesis and testing things out and testing different routes until you get to an answer. That's usually what science is supposed to be about. It's not just about one group has a certain opinion or one group is a money-making corporation that gets paid to do something and they put something out there and then they have all their legal representation make these laws and stuff that say you have to take something, and then if you take it and you get sick or something bad happens to you, you can't sue them. That's not science. Like I said, that's corporate devilry, basically. It's almost like a religion in and of itself. It's not even really based on, some of it's not even really based on science. It's almost like an organized religion where they've literally stamped out any other school of thought. That's what modern medicine has become in this country. It's corporate run. They won't let anyone talk about any type of natural remedies and medicines that people have been using for thousands of years. They've X'd that out, and they say you have to go through us. You have to take our chemically based artificial medications and vaccines and everything else. This is what you need to take. Don't believe these other people. They'll demonize other folks and make them seem like witch doctors or crazy people. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound like organized religion? If you don't go along with the established religion or the established mindset, you're looked at as a devil worshiper or someone who worships demons or someone who doesn't worship the same God that I do and need to be stamped out. I'm surprised they haven't taken a bunch of people who are believers in holistic medication and burned them at the stake. That's how they used to do them. They called it a witch hunt, but basically it was just people who use natural medications and natural remedies. They burned them at the stake. I guess nowadays it just ruin your reputation online. And whatever the majority of knuckleheads and numbskulls say on the internet, that means that that's true. And you have to go along with what they say. You can't think for yourself. You see, you think for yourself, you'll be attacked and looked at as a crazy person. You see what happened to the actress Letitia Wright. You see what happened to that one doctor that was talking about taking vitamins and taking zinc and having actual cures for COVID. You see what happened to all those folks, right? But if you don't go along with the mainstream, what the mainstream says and what they think, then that means you're a bad person, you're evil, and they'll take your ideas down. Same thing happened to me. Little old 3,000 subscriber me. I got my video taken down for making almost a tongue-in-cheek video, not even really a serious video about the vaccine, but you can't even jest or joke about it. You can't make anything that's a different thought or a different idea. They have to take it down. So that's what I mean with some of these old black folks. You can't trust them either. These are old black folks who were lived in the heart of segregation and racism and Jim Crow, and were actually experimented on like guinea pigs, or their family members were, and their family members lost their lives and everything else. And they're still going to tell you to go along to get along and take whatever these demons give us, even knowing what they went through in their own lives. That should show you what type of folks some of these old Negroes are. They're not elders. They're just a bunch of old slave-minded Negroes who would just go along with whatever their master says. You guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. Anyway, this is Mad Black, and I will be back on my foot on these devils' back.